Thank you, Anubhav, Dr. Madhur, Dr. Anuradha Belram, and others. Thank you very much. So today's topic is leadership excellence through spiritual vision and practice. So I will focus on the spiritual part of it, spiritual vision and practice. How can we bring up the excellence in leadership? By being a spiritual person. You don't have to become a spiritual person, you are a spiritual person. Because essentially we are, as the master say, essentially we are a spiritual person with a physical experience than the other way around. A physical person with a spiritual experience, that's what we normally understand by spirituality. But according to the spiritual perspective, we are essentially spiritual beings with the physical and mental, emotional experiences. And leadership, being a cultural subject, because essentially leadership depends upon the cultural context and the cultural understanding of the individual. The leadership deals with the individuals, how to motivate him or her, and how to make him work as a team member, how to share a vision and work towards the vision, and share the outcome of such a work. It essentially deals with the individual as a worker, as a producer, as a consumer, as a citizen, with a cultural aspect to his personality. So I'll be focusing on the individual as a worker, producer, and a consumer, and as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a citizen. But basically, we all are individuals. And as an individual, we are deeply spiritual. The spirit in the Indian context means consciousness. Spirit is not that bottled spirit you have in mind. Spirit is, the meaning of spirit is consciousness. And we all are conscious beings. Nobody is unconscious in this assembly, in this crowd. We are basically conscious beings. Consciously we are experiencing. Consciously we are experiencing our thoughts. Consciously we are experiencing our frustrations. Consciously we are experiencing our aspirations and ambitions and successes and failures. So what is constant in all this experience is the fact that we are conscious individuals. So that consciousness is our essential nature. The rest are all incidental, those experiences come and go, but you, the experiencer, the conscious individual, remains in and through all these experiences like a thread that goes through the garland connecting all the flowers or all the beads. So that understanding that I am or you, we individual, are essentially conscious people is very fundamental in spirituality. So when we say a spiritual person, sometimes we say be a spirited manager or a spirited leader, meaning you can invoke the spiritual energy and transform into intellectual, physical and innovative energies. The fundamental energy is the spiritual or consciousness energy. And that consciousness we are. So in search of inspiration, motivation and energy and enthusiasm and vision and innovative ideas, we don't have to go outside into the books or into some other individual. We can go inward, deep inward. So that deepening your awareness is spirituality. Going deep into oneself in search of innovative ideas, because we are talking about the innovative society. The more innovative you are, the more progressive you are, the more developed you are, the more competitive you are. And so that innovative ideas, where does it come from? Mostly we read books, and the more we read, the more we become confused. And then when we become confused, we become a consultant and go and advise others, and they also get confused. So I'm sorry. The real source of innovation is not the books, because the books are available in the market. Anybody can refer to the book. Anybody can Google. Those ideas are there in the outer space, out there in the public square. Anybody can get access to that. So you don't get any competitive advantage by consulting the other, by reading a book. You get competitive advantage. You become innovative. Of course, you have to be seized by the problem. You have to look at the world around, look at nature, look at the stars maybe. You may even have to read a book. You may have to collect all the data, crunch the data, and try to create alternative solutions to your problem. But ultimately, how do we select the solution? How do we add value to the solution? How do we add value, your unique value? That creates a competitive advantage. And for that, we have to go deep into ourselves. So our culture, the Vedic culture, the Indian culture, believes that the ultimate source of inspiration, values, innovative ideas is your own consciousness. And hence, meditation has a lot of importance in our tradition. You have to be out in the world, you have to interact with the world, no question about that, because it is only by interacting with the world you get an opportunity to go deep into yourself. If you go and sit in a cave where there is no challenge, you do get some experiences, but that experience is equivalent to sleep experience. Because in the cave there are no challenges, there are no problems. And at that time you can say, oh, my mind was very calm. I spent 20 years in the Himalayas in a cave, and my mind was very calm and quiet. I never got angry with anybody. I was not jealous of anybody. I was not disturbed, because there was nobody to disturb you. There was nobody to challenge you. So the peace that you experience in the Sylvian valleys of the Himalayas are not real peace. It is a burial ground peace. That peace is not going to help you go deep into yourself. So the challenges of the world is a necessary condition for meditation, necessary condition for invoking your inner power. So that is why I wrote that book called Meditation and Awakening Your Inner Power. And the modern leaders need new ideas. Modern leaders need inspiration. Modern leaders need innovative, creative solutions to problems. Otherwise, we get stuck with the same old solutions. And old solutions are no solution, because old solution is not applicable to the new challenges. That is another idea in the Indian spirituality, that everything is constantly changing. Everything changes. Nothing remains the same. You cannot step into the same river twice. And that everything changes idea is indicated by the word Maya. Probably you are familiar with that word Maya. So Maya, or yes, some Maya, all these are Maya. That means you have nothing to do with the world. This is a misinterpretation of Indian spirituality. Indian spirituality, Indian wisdom tradition is misinterpreted by saying that using the word Maya, the world is Maya, therefore you have nothing to do with the world. When you are an enlightened person, you move away from the world. Not only that, you don't even see the world. You only see the world thrice a day, morning breakfast, lunch and dinner. That kind of Maya concept is alien to the Indian tradition. When you say Maya, it only means the world is constantly changing. Mind is constantly changing. Ideas change. Therefore, you have to run to be in the same place where you are, you must keep running. So there are two fundamental ideas in the Indian wisdom tradition, our spirituality, Indian spirituality. One is you are essentially the consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi. I don't know whether you've heard that idea. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Shivo. Satchidananda. Nityo. Shuddho. Mukto. The mind. When I say I, which is your continuous experience, what is the idea you have about that? The Indian wisdom tradition says, the Upanishad says, when you say Aham Brahmasmi, it means you are that pure consciousness, the source of all creative ideas. In fact, says the whole universe is a manifestation of consciousness. Universe is intelligent. It is an intelligent organization. It is alive and kicking. It is not an ensemble of dead atoms. It is a manifestation of consciousness. So we have to realize that the first idea and the foremost important idea that we can get from Indian spiritual tradition is you are Aham Brahmasmi, Shiva, meaning I am that consciousness and I have that infinite power. The businessman, the politician, each one of us has to bring that idea into our interaction with the world so that you are not afraid of the world. You have that infinite power. The more you interact with the world, the more that power can be manifested. So the worldly interaction is a necessary condition for being a spiritual person according to the tradition. That is why Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna wanted to retire and go to the Himalayas as he was facing the challenges in Kurukshetra. Bhagavan said, you have to be here in the Kurukshetra. Tasmad uttishta gaundeya yuddhaya krudha nishchaya. Therefore, get up and fight. It is only by fighting. It is only by engaging. Fighting does not mean you have to join ISIS. That's not the idea. Fighting only means you have to engage with the world. You have to actively engage with this dynamically changing world, and that is the only way to get access to the spiritual potential, the spiritual energy that is hidden and latent within. That is one of the fundamental ideas in the Indian spirituality. So let's not, in the name of spirituality, go to the Himalayas. One thing, the Himalayas also, there is no peace, I tell you. In 1976, when I studied in the Himalaya, it was all peaceful. This time when I went to Uttarabashi or Almora or Simla, all of them become concrete jungles. The trees have been cut down and the cornfields jungle have come in its place. Therefore, if you seek peace and tranquility and inspiration, it is not outside in the jungle, it is inside. One has to be able to watch one's thoughts. It is only by watching the thought, creating a distance between you and your thought, that you can find your peace. And it is in that peace, space, creative ideas sprout. So spirituality says you are essentially the spirit, the source of infinite ideas, and when you contemplate, you get access to that idea, and that contemplation has to happen as you interact with the world. Be a politician, be a businessman, be a sports person, be a whatever you want to do in the world outside. So that worldly engagement is necessary. And hence the message given by Bhagavad Gita is detached engagement, reflective interaction. That's the challenge the modern world faces. As you interact with the world creates disturbances in you. The world creates agitations in you. So can you keep your mind calm while we are facing? Is the challenge that the modern leadership faces in the world. If you can do that, you can create the best solutions. The spontaneously right solution can be invoked when the mind is calm. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that. The Upanishad teaches that. And this is our rich resource. The Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad. 2-3 years ago, there was a controversy. Should Bhagavad Gita be made the national text? I am a vehement supporter of that idea. Bhagavad Gita has to be, national text does not mean you have to impose that book on everybody, but it should be available to everybody, all college students, all management students. This is the best management text in the world, as what I can see. Bhagavad Gita may not be talking about financial management or technological management. What Bhagavad Gita talks about, managing the self, managing the mind, managing the individual. And if we cannot manage ourselves, how can we manage the world? Or physician, heal thyself, as that would say. Before you remove the mote from the neighbor's eye, remove the plank from your eye. Unless we do that, there is no point in trying to change the world. Change has to come within yourself. If a change is possible, that change is self-change and Mahatma Gandhi change. The heart of change, as he very wisely said, is a change of heart. So one has to develop the skill to remain calm, create space between stimulus and response, remain calm, balanced, while you are facing the challenges of the world. I think that is the critical question that the modern world faces. You cannot think of running away because there are no forests in the world anymore. The forests are all cut down. From 33% has become 3%. So there is no question of running into the forest. There is no question of running into the puja room, because in the puja room also there is a TV. Therefore, all the information are constantly pouring into your puja room, into your bedroom, into your kitchen, into your toilet. Everywhere there is noise. So one has to learn to become calm and quiet. Learning to sit quiet every day. As a leader, you may be very busy. I hear people saying, Swamiji, I am so busy, I have no time to sit down. I have no time to sit down. I am so busy. Even eating is while I am driving the car, I am biting sandwich because I have no time to sit down. But that 5 minutes of investment in sitting down quietly will give you rich harvest, a rich reward in terms of creating innovative ideas. Begin as a leader, begin your day as a manager, begin your day, spiritual practice, spiritual vision and the spiritual practice. The first 2 ideas I have explained to you. One is realize we have that infinite potential within ourselves. We have to feel it. We have to know it. We don't know it at this point. Because we have no pramana. In our Shastra we say, we have no way of knowing anything beyond the body and beyond the mind and beyond the ego. There is no way of knowing. Somebody has to tell it. That's the parambara, the Guru Parambara tells you. And we are completely cut off from the Guru Parambara. We insulting the Guru Parambara. We insult our parents, we insult our grandparents, we insult our gurus. Under influence of the Western relativism, we question everything. In that process, you are throwing the baby along with the bathwater. So, our tradition says that you are the infinite consciousness, and that let us believe in that. Because the modern thoughts are based on certain fundamental beliefs. Whether it is a Western Eurocentric thought or an American thought, whether it is a management or legislative thought, even science is based upon certain fundamental assumptions. And that assumptions are given by your culture. The Anglo-Saxon culture is based upon some fundamental assumptions given by the Judeo-Christian belief. So similarly, we have certain fundamental beliefs, the Indians have certain fundamental beliefs, and that belief is that you are not a born sinner. You are Amritasya Putra, children of immortality. I think this is a fundamental divide. On one side the tradition says we are sinners, born sinners, isn't it? On the other side, and the whole Western Eurocentric civilization is built upon the idea we are sinners. And this world is a punishment. Whereas the Indian tradition is, we are Amritasya Putra, you are a spark of immortality. And the world is an opportunity for you to realize that immortality, realize that infinite potentiality, that you are actually, as a result of some sin and punishment, you are here because you are that infinite power. Amritasya putra, Satchidanandosya. We have to realize this in the world. That's our fundamental belief. So here, the activities in the world is to realize our potential. Just as a seed interacting with the soil and in the environment, it discovers its potential. An acorn becomes an oak later. Similarly, by interacting in the world, you can realize your full potential. And hence, Krishna says, Arjuna, tasmad uttishta kauteya, yudhaya krutanishya. So the practice, this is the belief. The two legs of that belief is, one, I am that infinite power. Second, the world is constantly changing. And we have to interact with this changing world. And as you interact with the changing world, if you can keep your mind calm and quiet, you get access to that spiritual energy. And that energy can be manifested. And as you manifest this spiritual energy, by making choices in the world outside, those choices become channels of self-actualization and self-realization. So whether you are a politician or a businessman or a social activist, all these activities become a channel for self-actualization. So Modi and Ambani and Arundhati Roy, all of them can become Brahmanishtas, realized people. Though their field activity is different. One is in politics, one is in business, one is a social activist. But these activities can become channels of self-actualization. I hope I am not going over your head because I see a steely silence.
That's your captivating power, sir.
I am saying something very profound, very fundamental to the Indian spirituality. Whichever field you are, wherever you are, can you hear me properly? Yeah. Whichever field you are, you can manifest your infinite power. So the purpose of coming into this world, which is a very short span, we are not going to be here for 10,000 years. Even if we are going to be here for 10,000 years by eating all the modern medicines and tablets, even then, that 10,000 years also is a limited. So therefore, our stay here will be a short stay, but during that short period, we can manifest. You can live in timeless space. So living in that timelessness is fulfillment. And we all are seeking to. We are all seeking that up Maslowian, hierarchy of values. Finally, the Maslowian hierarchy of values is self-actualization. Self-actualization means living in a timeless soul. To live in a timeless soul means enjoying what you are doing. To enjoy what you are doing, you have to be innovative. To become innovative, you have to actualize your own spiritual nature while you are living in this world. So living in that timeless space where you experience a seamless flow of consciousness, what they call the flow experience. This is called moksha. Our tradition says moksha is our ultimate goal. Freedom is our ultimate goal. And freedom means living in the zone of timelessness. And timelessness is possible when you enjoy whatever you are doing. And you enjoy what you are doing when you experience the flow. The flow is possible. All your choices become a channel for actualizing your inner potential. So regardless of where you are, you can be a barber or a brain surgeon or a plumber or a philosopher, doesn't matter. Whatever you are, you can realize that potential. So for that, as a practice, if this is the two sides of your belief, two wheels or two wings of your belief, we have to take off based on these two beliefs. What is the practice? The practice is the ability to sit quiet every day, 5 minutes. That is 5 minutes. You may be a very busy person, but I guarantee it will be a very good investment. Begin your day with 5 minutes of practice. But the whole night I was sleeping. So why should I continue to sleep for another 5 minutes? That sleep doesn't give you the access to that spirit. Sleep is a biological process. It's not a meditative exercise. So apart from sleeping, and I doubt whether you really get good sleep or not. Most of us don't get good sleep. As a result of that, we are again disturbed when we get up. So there is a difference between sleep and meditation. In sleep, you may experience a shallow peace, but that's not what we are aiming for. There is a deeper peace, a deeper level of inspiration, which can come from meditation. So initially, we may have to begin by sitting 5 minutes. I request all of you, begin your day with 5 minutes of sitting. Let's sit quiet, not preoccupied with anything. No cell phone, no computer, no music, nothing. Just sit quiet with yourself, with your deeper self. Drop the body, go deep within yourself. So that 5 minutes of sitting is called yoga. These days everybody is a yogi, isn't it? Everybody pretends that he is a yogi. Whether he's a yogi or a bhogi, that's a different thing. But everybody thinks they are yogis. The yoga, if you can sit for 5 minutes every day, and during the day, every 3 hours the energy changes. Because we cannot hold on to something more than 3 hours. These days, even 3 hours is difficult, 1.5 hours. Even 1.5 hours is difficult. If it is only 45 minutes lecture, generally we give 5 hours lectures. But here only, because we cannot hold our attention more than 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes, you can sit. Go deep into yourself. Be calm. And whenever we do something, doing is stimulus and response. So between the stimulus and response, there has to be a gap. These days, there is no gap. Response is immediate. And it's no more a response, it's a reaction. And reaction means power which you are in control. Response means you are the master. So most of the time you are only reacting in haste and then repent in leisure. And you say, I'm sorry, I should not do it. Isn't it? In anger, you may call your own son, you are son of a donkey. Later you realize, what did I say? If he is the son of donkey, I must be the donkey all the time. That thought doesn't come. That rational thought doesn't come. Because you immediately reacted. Then you repent. That has no meaning. Because you are a slave of the word that you uttered. And you can be the master of the word which you have not yet said. So we have already said it. So therefore we have to always see a gap between stimulus and response. And if you can keep that gap becomes the space where you can be the master of your responses. Then you don't have to do that. Then you don't have to say, I'm sorry. Of course, if there is a need, you may say, I'm sorry. You don't have to hesitate to say sorry. But you don't have to do that. Because you do the right thing at the right time, spontaneously. There are people that think a lot and do the wrong thing, isn't it? Talk a lot. And finally, did the wrong thing. There are people, they don't have to do much. Action just flow from them like a river is flowing toward the ocean. Like a flower is blooming. Like the bird takes off spontaneously. Doesn't have any effort. Similarly, one can be spontaneous. A good leader has to be spontaneous. Because every minute lost is a big loss for that person. Every minute you have to take the right decision. And you cannot say, I'm sorry, because you are in the public gaze. Leader. And your decisions are millions of people down the road. And one has to be responsible for what he says. And it's only a spiritual person can be invoking the right decisions And hence begin your day with the fine. Create a gap between the stimulus and response. And take deep breathing, another aspect of yoga. Take deep breathing, breathe deeply. Be conscious of your breath. Because breath determines your thoughts, your hunger, your thirst, your thoughts. The whole public profile is determined by how you are breathing. So breathing becomes very, very important. So you may say these are all mechanical things. I am a thinking person. I have nothing to do with my breathing. Your breathing is very, very important. You know, in India there is a tradition. When you see your parents or elders, you have to fall flat on the ground. That's one tradition. So why should I fall flat on the ground? Why should I do that? What is the rationale behind it? Why should I pay my respects? Even Chanakya says, one of the important qualities of a good leader is respect for elders. I mean, whether elders deserve it or not is a different question. But whether they deserve it or not, you give that respect. And when you respect a person, you invoke the best out of that person. So that's a strategy. When I respect you, I invoke the best out of you. When I disrespect you, I invoke the worst out of you. So by respecting a person, I am invoking the best out of him, and I am invoking the best out of me also. As a result, you can create a win-win situation, where you create what I call synergy and synergy can be invoked. You can, because it's only human beings which is subjected to this law. You can make a man a Buddha and a Buddha also. Buddha person. It all depends upon how you deal with that person. And depending upon how you deal with the other person deals with you. So you create a vicious cycle or a virtuous cycle. Both are possible. Only human beings are subject to that. Even animals sometimes. Not a machine. A machine you can scold and do anything, switch it off, it will work. But not a human being. So therefore, in India there is a tradition. When you meet an elder, just bow down, prostrate. And I discovered one thing. If you keep prostrating 10-15 times a day, you will have a flat belly. And I think the flat belly is a mark of an efficient leader. A big belly is a mark of an inefficient leader. Because he is not caring about himself or herself. So the self-care, how do I deport myself? How do I present myself? Is very, very important. Look at Krishna or Rama. Krishna doesn't have a pot belly. Have you seen any Krishna pot belly? Rama pot belly. So there, I'm not saying. So what is important is a leader has to do exercise. Either he has to walk or be on the treadmill or somewhere. You have to take care of yourself because you are presenting. Thousands of people are looking at you. So therefore, personal care is very, very important. Mahatma Gandhi is the person who too much personal care. Though he didn't dress so much, he didn't use so many clothes. But in that meager clothing, he looked so regal and royal, so beautiful. No teeth, big ears, no hair on the head, nothing is there. But still, in that bareness, in that meagerness, Gandhi looked so rich. Gandhi looked so affluent, so profound. Because it's the spiritual splendor that he created in his environment. So that is what beauty is all about. So a spiritual leader should look attractive, should have a physical appeal, and should do exercise, eat properly. And these are all very, very important. According to Indian tradition, what you eat, that you become. What you eat, that you become. What you think, that you become. How you breathe, that you become. How you sit, that what you are. So all these are very, you cannot sit like a question mark and answering questions. You must look and answer yourself. So all these are very, very important. When you prostrate, there is a big science behind it. Recently I was in Bodh Gaya and I saw one Buddhist, very celebrated Buddhist monk, spreading his meditation mat and prostrating 108 times. 108 times prostration. He doesn't have to visit a doctor. 108 prostrations a day, you can keep the doctor away. Not 108 apples. 108 prostrations a day. Because these traditions have come through various years and years of trial and error. And you cannot casually, flippantly discard all those. You have to give attention to all this which has been given to us by our fathers. And ours is one of the oldest living tradition in the world. So we have to give, our leaders have to give attention to us. So friends, there are two things. One, the belief that you are the source of infinite power. And second, the world is constantly changing. So you cannot operate from memories and old knowledge. Knowledge is always old. Knowledge is never new. Knowledge is necessary, but not enough. Innovativeness. Innovation does not come from knowledge. But knowledge is a condition for innovation. Isn't it? When the apple fell on Newton's nose, he came up with this idea of gravity. Because he was preparing himself for it. He had domain knowledge. So domain knowledge coupled with the meditation become innovative knowledge. If the apple fell on your nose, it will only break your nose bridge. Nothing will happen. Because you don't have the preparation for it. So you need domain knowledge. Simple meditation is not going to solve problems. That is another illusion we have been living. We all will meditate. We don't study mathematics, history, chemistry, biology, physics, but we will meditate and we will be able to create an aeroplane. That is again an illusion. To create an aeroplane, you have to go to the engineering college, study engineering, study the relevant knowledge. Then after studying, and also you need a wider range of interest. Mere domain knowledge is not enough. Mere IQ is not enough. You also need a wide range of interest, an ability to appreciate art, music, dance, food, nature. Then your interests are wide. Then the brain can collage, the brain can cut and paste things. And then when you meditate, innovative ideas manifest. See, this is another illusion India has been living for the last 2,000 years. I will simply meditate. And by the power of thought, I will create everything. Which doesn't happen. Which doesn't happen. You have to have that particular domain knowledge. So you need domain knowledge, IQ. You need wide interest, EQ. Then you can invoke the spiritual power as creative ideas, which I call SQ. So two questions are necessary. IQ, EQ, and SQ. SQ means spiritual question will manifest. So these two ideas are very, very important. And then certain practices are important. Unfortunately, we are not practicing. Something spiritual practice is missing these days. Spirituality is now these days confined to simply slogans. Love everybody, everything is one, the world is one. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Some words are said and we are confined spirituality to that. We are not accompanying it with the practice. So the practice is to be, spiritual practice is to be done along with your worldly activities. A spiritual practice devoid of worldly activities is futile, and worldly activities devoid of spiritual practice is very problematic. What we need is a combination of these two. And India has a rich tradition. And why should you leave that tradition? And our effort to bring or import ideas from the West, democracy, market capitalism, individual rights and freedom, and then, Jativad, Manuvad, and then Brahmanvad, everything is to be given up. What do you have from your tradition? I understand everything is to be analyzed and grasped, but the modern world, so we can create an India which is prosperous and equitable and just. As the end of the Bhagavad Gita, two things Bhagavan says. Tasmatam uttishta yasholabhasva jitva shatrun bhungsha rajyam samruddha ayaya vayade nikada kurvame nimitta matram bhagavasutta. Therefore, get up, fight, win the battle, and share and enjoy your victory. This is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, get up, fight, win the battle. You are not fighting to lose the battle. Because you are a spiritual person, I lost. This is another argument these days. Because I am spiritual, I have become a useless person. Spirituality is not meant to make you useless. Spirituality is meant to make you useful. Therefore, Krishna's final advice to Arjuna was, therefore, get up, fight, win the battle, share the victory, and enjoy the bliss. And for that he says, Sugadukhe sametutva. You have to keep your mind quiet and then engage in the battle. And quieting the mind is an individual effort. You have to make an effort for that. By sitting properly, breathing properly, eating properly, thinking properly, you will be able to quieten the mind. To switch off the fan, I ask you to switch off the fan, what will you do? You will go and hold the fan and stop it? You don't do that. You'll ask me, where is the switchboard, isn't it? Where is the switchboard? You'll go to the switchboard and you'll ask me, what is that particular switch which connects the fan? Because there are hundreds of switches. Then you have to press that switch, then the fan will come to a stop. Fan is there, but you are using the switches. Similarly, disturbance is outside, but is reflection inside. You can control that. It is possible. It is within your power. You are the master of your mind. Master your thoughts, master the mind, your emotional being, and then the rest can happen. So, and as a result, we get access to the Spirit. And then you make right kind of choices. Through those choices, you can invoke your own inner energy and make life a beautiful, timeless, blissful experience, which is called freedom or moksha. This is available for everybody. You don't have to retire or repair to the caves. You can be. Even the Upanishad it is said, therefore, Hridaya Guhayam, Yo Veda Nihidam Guhayam. Those who realize the truth in the cave of their heart. So people went to the caves. Caves are not there. Caves are here, where your decisions are made. There is a cave, where stimulus come and responses are created. That cave needs some space, so that you have the leisure to design your responses. And those teeny-weeny responses create the destiny or the edifice of your life. Those responses are seen to be very, very simple, but they are the bricks by which our life's destiny is created. So that's the practice we have to do. You can read Bhagavad Gita, you can read Yoga Sutras, you can read the Upanishad, and there are plenty of texts. This management institute, being the All India Management Association, I have gone to all your management associations all over India, all over. But nowhere they teach this Bhagavad Gita or Yoga Sutra or Upanishads. Some or other, that thought has not come to us, which is a great loss for us, and we have to. I would interpret Ghar Vapasi like that. Going back to your own traditions. First floor. If you don't build the first floor, how can you build the third floor and second floor? Beautiful second floor, third floor, but where is the first floor? First floor is our air. It is not going to work. So let us use these words, Dharmapasi or Bhagavad Gita, etc., in a very progressive way. Let us define it in the right way. Garvapasi means going back to your tradition, your fundamental faith, which is there in our DNA. You cannot help it. It's there in our DNA. And if we are denying that, the denial of our DNA is the problem that we are facing today. So we don't speak authentic language. We don't speak authentic language. We have to speak authentic language by going back to our source and then rebuilding the whole thing from there. And the world is looking to us. And we have to respond. It's our historical duty to respond to the challenges of the world. And we have enough resources in our own tradition to solve the problems of the world if we try. And it's not for no reason that Mahatma Gandhi is acclaimed as the greatest leader of the 20th century. And I am sure he will remain the greatest leader of the 21st century also. Mao Zedong, Stalin, or Castro, all those people have been debunked. Gandhi has been accepted as the great leader. I am not saying you have to accept Gandhi lock, stock and barrel. No. There are a lot of things we cannot accept Gandhian solutions. But Gandhian spirit is our savior, is the star which will guide us. So let us go back to Gandhi, our tradition, and then rebuild, not that stay there. Because this going back, it's like a tree which you want to touch the star, must have roots deep into the depth of the earth, isn't it? If you want to kiss the star, the tree, it must have roots deep. So we need that deeper roots, and somebody has to take up the responsibility. People like us can help you, show you what our past was, and help you interpret that. But it's for you, the leaders, administrators, politicians, businessmen, associating with us, instead of shunning us. Oh, the Swami comes, let me run away. He may ask you to meditate. Instead of doing that, we can give you enormous resource to tackle your problem. And so let us have a union or a dialogue or a conversation between the past and the future in the space of the present. That conversation is missing. That conversation is hijacked by unholy people. We have to bring that conversation on track between the past. Because somebody talks about that, you should not run away. Because Modi talks about it, I don't want to turn to that side. That is a very unintelligent way of looking at the issue. Whoever talks, we need this conversation between the future and the past in the space of the present. And I hope this will be one of those, baby steps towards that. And this conversation should continue. Otherwise, India will continue to remain in darkness, rootless, like Christmas trees. No roots. Somebody gives a push, it will fall off. So therefore, we need that depth to all that we do. And that depth is to be recaptured. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Amazing, Swamiji. You just hold everybody spellbound. And the best test is when there is no compulsion to stay on in the room, not a single person moved anywhere. So that itself is a test as to how engrossed we all were in this. I have had the wonderful opportunity of listening to Swamiji many times, but each time it is an intellectual exercise, and he comes up with fantastic ideas, and you saw the humor that he puts into it. So very simply, these are complicated concepts explained so simply. And he just mentioned that our B school education or education in general does not really give space to the ancient wisdom. I am one of those lucky persons who was at Faculty of Management Studies when Professor N.R. Chatterjee was the dean, and he taught the entire class every time. First 90% of the class would be Indian ethos, and then in the last 10 minutes he would connect it with Western research. So I was singularly lucky. And then of course I met Dr. M.B. Atreya, who also deals with management issues at that level. And then, of course, I met Swamiji. So, luckily for me, I have been constantly getting these pearls of wisdom. So, now I'll open the house to questions, but kindly, since we all want to use the maximum wisdom that we can take home, so please ask pointed questions. Please don't make statements so that we can get the best out of the reservoir that Swamiji has. So, kindly, specific questions. Yeah, Larry sir.
Sir, I have got a very specific question. We say Kurukshetra Yuddha is a Dharma Yuddha. That means my assumption is after the end of the Kurukshetra Yuddha, Adharma had gone, Dharma had come. Then after certain time, gap of time, we find India enormously become adharmic. What was that? First of all, was it true that for Kurukshetra Yuddha, Kurukshetra has some negative connotations also, other than spiritual aspects. Huge people died, all arms and munitions. The huge loss, and India suffered like anything. Anyway, we became cured from adharma, let us say. At what point of time that adharma started and why? And today's culmination we see India is one of the bottommost rank in corruption, bottommost in happiness, India. Everywhere. Even though we have got so many Swamijis, so many spiritual things, it is this thing evolved, it is the root of all civilization and all this thing, then why this India's today's position is like this?
That we all have to answer that question. You know, dharma is like a health. The body is subjected to health and it's a balance. To keep your health, you have to continuously work. Because I am healthy, I can eat whatever I want. I don't have to do any exercise. I can live the way I like. Your health will suffer. Just as to keep your health, you have to be constantly working at it. Similarly, to maintain dharma, you have to work continuously. If you don't, dharma will take off. World is a balance between dharma and dharma. And unless you work at that, on our level, it's like a wild nature. Unless you tend it properly, wild growth will happen. So we have to continuously work at it. Secondly, again the nation's history follows like the sunrise and the sunset. You work towards a certain glory, then you get exhausted, then you decline. Again you have to work towards that. Thirdly, I don't believe that India is in the bottom of it now. India is struggling, and India is living in the sunrise stage now, coming up. And we all will have to, let us not feel despair or depressed. We are in the ascending curve. Nothing to despair. Any other question?
Yeah, just let me
Sir,
know. Yeah, I'll come to you after.
Sir, I will little add to your valuable thoughts and inspiring
Sir,
thoughts.
question please, sir.
कोई बात नहीं, just only something.
Because the others are there already, we have to accommodate as many questions as possible.
I have
Give me an opportunity.
I have not started
Give me an
because
opportunity.
it is an interactive session.
No, that is for you.
It is an interactive session because it was mentioned. It is an interactive session.
Please.
I also I came because I was. This is my very solid subject. This has so spirituality as a new dimension to effective and inspiring leadership. This is a chapter in my book also. And that is why I was very happy to listen to your lecture. Just I would like to add that for outstanding performers, it is they should have high level of SQ, spiritual quotient, EQ also, IQ also. Rather, it is a foundation of leadership. But I fully agree with you. It is a matter of practicing. We are not practicing spirituality in our day-to-day life. So many slogans are there. But only one or 2 points I will add. It is seeing the larger patterns, larger relationships and connection. Selfless service to our society, giving some to our society. There are many more ideas also. I am highly impressed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, I surrendered to
Kindly introduce because these gentlemen I have known.
My name is A.K. Sethi, and I surrendered to the feet of Swami Bodhananda within the short period, what I have learned, I have got one query, Swamiji. It is inciting me to ask this question to you. On way to spiritualism, I have come across an article where the body function of a human being affects rag, dvesha, krodh, stress and many other effects. There it is said that the chemical reaction within the body, it affects the mind, it affects the brain, and naturally whatever the chetana we have, whatever the actions we take, these get affected, and there are 5-6 names of the chemical reactions which says that a person who is at the age of 20, his thinking is something, but a person gets fully matured at the age of 30. And here what I feel, most of the listeners, they are above 30. So my question is to your good self, sir, that how this chemical reaction we can control and we can lead on the path of spiritualism.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
chemicals do play. I'm not a biologist or a doctor or a medical practitioner, but with my general understanding, chemicals do play a role in influencing your hormones, your emotions, and your general sense of well-being. But if you have practices, proper practices, you don't have to come to a situation where you become a slave of your chemical situation. Chemicals are inert. You are a conscious person. So using your consciousness, using your effort, you will be able to create that balance, chemical balance. And that has been our experience. So eat right, breathe properly, exercise properly, have the right kind of thought, keep the right company of people, do the right kind of things, which your conscience will tell you, which your culture will advise you. And if you do that, you will be able to manage. Ultimately, you will die, of course. Ultimately, all of us will have to die. Till you die, you will be able to keep the train on the rail. That's what you can.
And
Yes.
just to add to that, you see these chemicals many times are actually triggered by the psychological processes that are happening within me. I have had the occasion to train at the GB Pant hospital in psychiatry department. So there's a whole series of diseases which are called psychosomatic. It essentially is created in the mind, which creates the chemical secretions of a different kind. So it's a mix of things, whether your chemicals trigger your body's actions or it is the body's actions which trigger the chemicals. That is what is the question.
But eating of the food plays a vital role.
Vital role,
Yes.
yes.
That's why it is said that we should try to be vegetarian.
No, I don't go to that. don't make me a partner in that. But then vegetarianism is good after certain age. Yes.
So we
Yes.
can give you advice. You see, you said every day morning you should be quiet for 5 minutes, go deep inside. Maybe you repeat it after every 3-4 hours. Now when you go deep inside, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, what type of thought
Thoughts will be there. What you have to do, you are
keep coming, what
yeah,
you do then.
you are watching your thoughts. That's what I said. You create a gap between thoughts and you. The thoughts will be there. Just watch them. Don't try to control them. Don't try to destroy them. Don't try to suppress them. Just to non-judgmental watch.
Ignore them.
Huh?
Ignore the thoughts.
Yeah, ignore or don't judge. Just to remain like that.
Transcendental.
You cannot control the
Let them
thoughts.
alone.
Let
Let
them.
them.
Like clouds float in the sky.
You
You
know,
be-
all types of thoughts will
Yeah,
come,
no problem. Actually, one way is let all the thoughts come. Because those thoughts in meditation, they don't affect you. They don't create more disturbances in you. So let them all escape. Yes.
Any other? Yeah, please.
So like today's time, all the people are talking about the leadership. हर जगह leadership की बात होती है. But the base reality is in any organization or anywhere, your seniors or people don't want a leader, they want a manager. वो आपको leader से manager बना देते हैं. But still, if you are a spiritual person and due to your values,
you know, you become facade for your incompetence. So your goodness should not be a facade for your incompetence. And you cannot hide behind goodness, your stupidity. So you have to be smart. Nobody is going to make you the leader. You have to hustle, you have to capture it. Leadership you have to assert. And nobody is going to grant you leadership. Even if somebody grants you leadership, you still continue to be forward because somebody has given to you. So you have to empower yourself. Don't think others will empower you. That others empower, if they others empower you, you are still a slave because you are looking at that person. Inspiration must come from within yourself. And you should not compromise with your skillful action. You should be skillfully acting. Your success should be celebrated by others. But for others' sake, you should not become a martyr. So you have to align several factors into a decision. And you have to be on the top. I don't want you to become a sacrificial goat now. You will be a leader, and because you have it within you, you work towards it, you have new ideas, you collect people. If you are not a leader here, step out of that place. Plenty of problems are in the world. Plenty of problems are there in the world. If somebody is there to solve this problem, step away from there. You take up another problem. And if there is somebody to do that, take up another. Active roots is not to become a Hindu or Hindutva person.
That's true.
Yeah, that clarity must come. Just as in the Western tradition, they all study Greek literature. There is no scientist, no social thinker who writes a book without mentioning Plato, Socrates, or Aristotle. Nobody. Whether he is a communist or a spiritualist, whoever he may be. Similarly, do we have some common resource which we all can refer, irrespective whether you are Muslim, Hindu or Christian? That's what our question is. Is there any common source? Which, because we claim to be a oldest living tradition. So is there anything common when we go back to our roots, which all of us can feel comfortable? Or do you believe our history begins with Muhammad bin Qasim in 722? Or do you believe our history begins in 1757 when the British came here? Or is there any past? So instead of letting these people run away with our history and our tradition, where it is the Hindutva or even Hinduism, because Hinduism, that word came later. There is Buddhism here, there is Charvaka system here, there is Nyaya system here, there is Yoga system, there is Charvaka. Charvaka is materialist. All those traditions with Sanskrit language, we have to bring out those traditions and then give it a secular interpretation. So it's our intellectual failure that Hindutva people are running away with our tradition. We should not allow that. Communists can go to our tradition. Atheists can go to our tradition. Because there is atheism in our tradition, Charvaka. There is Nyaya tradition, big logic. So what we have to do, you use these words, Karvapasi, give it a new interpretation. Bhagavad Gita, give it a new interpretation. Interpret it properly, critically. Let us not shun those books, because that is there in our genes. What this country needs is a bold step, where a section of people are running away with things. That should be stopped. Don't let them do that. Instead of Hindutva people interpreting Bhagavad Gita, why don't you interpret it? Why am I not an atheist interpret it? Why not an economist interpret it? Why not a social scientist interpret it? So we need a plethora of interpretations. At this point that doesn't happen. So what happens is, our rich tradition is hijacked or taken away by a narrow-minded set of people. I do appreciate that we needed interpretation or a narrative where Hindus, Muslims, Christians and all those belong to this country can feel comfortable. But that does not mean you should throw the water and the baby along the bathwater, which we are doing now. Jawaharlal Nehru University. Why shouldn't be a department where our old tradition is subjected to critical study? If there can African studies, it can be African studies or Latin American studies or Chinese studies. Why not Indian traditional studies? Who else will do that? Now what happens is all these studies are done in America. Our yoga books, our Ayurveda, our Vedanta, these are all taken up by those people and they are giving their own interpretation and they will dominate our mindset now, mind thinking. That's what is going to happen. A good yoga book, it's not available in India, it's an American interpretation. A good book on Ayurveda, it is an American. A good book on Vedanta, this is written by them, not us. And so what will happen? They will dominate our thinking. And India will continue to be this way. It is time for us, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi University, IIT, all those people, like Americans or Europeans are studying Greek literature, we have to study our own literature, interpret it critically. I don't say take it lock, stock and barrel, no. Don't say there was plastic surgery because Ganesha said it was good. Those are all ridiculous ideas. So we have to, why we are listening to that? Because you are not giving an alternative intellectually. That is why we are going for these kind of funny ideas. So take up those books, critically analyze it and understand what we need and then bring out books, interpretations, bring out books. Who is doing that? This Jawaharlal Nehru University should do that. Instead of simply talking about Manuvad. What is Manuvad? Write a critical book on Manusmriti. That is what you should do. Or Brahminvad. What is this Brahminvad? What have they done? Who is the Brahmin? Where are they? Are they still in power? So you have to do that. What is Jadivad? Explain it. Simply making it a slogan. That is intellectual poverty. And then you say that is a magnificent speech. I heard the whole speech. It's simple slogan, 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 slogan. There is nothing critical there. And why we are saying that? Because we have no idea. We go by the loudest voice. Somebody speaks louder, then we wonder, what a wonderful speech. Decimal, volume of voice doesn't make it logical. So because your failure or my failure is what is reflected here. And I tell you, within 50 years, all our literature will be interpreted by the Westerners, which they are doing. If I want to read a yoga book, I have to go to the West. Iyengar or these people doesn't make any sense. Yoga people, the Western, what they do, a particular asana, what is its chemical impact, what is its biological impact, what happens to the brain, they take the picture of that, Everything is beautifully explained. You will repeat what Vyasa said. Vyasa is a 15th century commentator, 5th century commentator. You will repeat the same thing again and again. And a word you have a doubt, the commentator also doesn't explain properly. It's a very pitiable situation in our universities. Our universities are supposed to critically examine our past and bring it into the modern idiom and discard what is unnecessary and project what is necessary. And I believe there will be nuggets in our tradition. So that is what we do. Instead of saying that Nabi says this or Hindutva people say that, that's our failure, our intellectuals' failure, our Jawaharlal Nehru University's failure. That they don't go into our past and critically analyze it. Every successful civilization has done that. Anglo-Saxons are doing it. Americans, even Chinese are doing it. They are bringing Confucius in a big way. 1,000 Confucian study centers all over the world. It's available for critical study. Does anybody study Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, Brahma Sutras, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Yoga Sutras, Nyaya Sutras, Sankhya Sutras? or the Vedas itself, or the theory of language. Now we are going behind Noam Chomsky but we have a rich theory of language here. We are not aware of that, and we are repeating Noam Chomsky without understanding what he says. And he himself has studied Indian theory of language. So therefore, it is our intellectual poverty, Indians' intellectual poverty. We are only still, we are looking for a PL 180 or whatever it is.
480.
480, whatever it is. Again we are looking for.
Sorry.
So therefore, please.
In fact, one example that comes to my mind, Swamiji just said that old knowledge cannot solve new problems. Right? This is a pearl of wisdom that he gave us.